today we're gonna attempt to do a deep clean on our most precious vacuum here, the Dyson Ball Animal Cyclone DC something. And what I did, I made a mistake and sprinkled some of that carpet fresh cleaner, that powder stuff you sprinkle on the carpet, and let it sit and vacuum it up. And ever since then, I've had the worst odor every time I use it. And inside the screen, there's dirt and particles behind it, and it stinks horribly. So that's the plan. We're going to try to pull it apart, get inside and get behind that screen, get everything pulled apart, do a nice clean, and get it back to our former pristine working condition. So let's tackle that. So first, oops, wrong top. First we want to pop the top and pull the filter, which I've done. I took the filter out. I've already washed that, letting that dry now. We got to get this cap off by just prying the tabs out. Just be careful. They are plastic, and if they break, you know what happens. We'll do a nice clean here. I've been told not to submerge this in water because water can get behind this, and it's a bear to get it out once it's there. So we'll just clean that off. Secondly, we're going to separate the canister. So, and I don't know if you can see that, but look at all the dust and particles all behind this screen that, you know, you can sit and bang it, and you're never ever getting that out of there once it's in there. So we're gonna take that all apart. Next, I'm gonna take these gaskets out and we'll clean those and just pry these around the tabs, just being very careful not to break or tear the gasket as you pull them apart. And then of course, same thing going back together. Just want to be really careful not to tear anything. Okay, so the gaskets are out. We'll get that good and cleaned. Gasket. Now to separate here, first thing you're going to need to do is take and pop the button out. Just take a flat edge screwdriver, pry that out of there like so. Got the little spring on there. Set that to the side, and then we need to take the Cyclone and pull that by taking a screwdriver down in this seam here and just popping the tabs carefully. Don't want to break the plastic. If you break the plastic, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all taken stuff apart. You know what happens if you take it, break it or deform it. It's never going to be the same. So just be careful. Take your time popping those. Got a stingy one here. Come on, there we go. And one more. Just work your way around. Take your time. Oh, no, we got one last one hiding. There we go. And then we'll separate that, and look at that. Disgusting. All this debris all caught in the jets, and just terrible. So we're gonna take that all apart, get that all cleaned out of there. That's nasty. But that's what happens when you have 4 cats and 2 dogs. The farm. So next, we're going to take and remove the screen. I've already kind of cheated and got in behind there, so it didn't take as long to do. But right in this seam right here, you're just going to take a flat edge screwdriver and work your way around, just freeing that up, and then the screen will pull off and expose all that dust and dirt that just nasty. And you can see here also, look at all the dirt just falling out of there. Now this is all just plastic, so we can just take and warm water and clean all that up. Same with the screen, we'll get rid of all this. I mean, just look at it, just nasty, caught in behind that screen, something you'll never get cleaned unless you take it apart and do a deep clean like this. So we'll take that there, and I'm going to get all those cleaned. And then just a second, I'll show you how to take the gaskets and stuff off the Cyclone and go from there. Okay, so the next step, we're going to pull this gasket off. Be careful, that's more of a foam material. That'll tear very easily, but it comes right off. Now we're going to take a flat edge and we're going to take this white plastic ring off just by going around slowly, prying, pushing. Just want to be careful, take your time not to break anything. Just work it and it'll work its way off. There's nothing holding this, but I don't know what you'd call it, friction maybe. And just work that off, get rid of that. We can clean that. I mean, just tons and tons of dirt in there. I mean, I know a lot, like look at that stuff stuck in the jets. I mean, so obviously this thing has been working hard. I mean, I had noticed it was getting real hot every time I used it. Just didn't seem to have the suction that it had previously, so I'm pretty diligent. Look at that on my sweeping chores. Oh, my camera just moved. I don't have a fancy tripod right now, so but you can see why you need to get in here and do this if you want your machine to run properly. I mean, there's just little fine hair and dirt and dust and nasty stuff. All right, so we got that done, Now we can even go just a little bit further, so bear with me just a moment. Okay, so next I want to get this cover off. Well, first take and remove this spring so you can pull the ejector out, get that out of there. Oh, actually I can't do that yet until we got to take these screws out. Hard as heck to see in here, but there are 7, I believe. There's screws in here, Torx head screws in here that hold the cover on. So we've got to get down in there, which mine are covered with dust and debris. Look at it, just keeps coming. Look at the chunks. So I've got a T10 driver here, and what we'll do is just take and get down in there and unscrew all 7 of those. Debris just keeps coming. That's why we're doing this. I mean, the greatest vacuum in the world, we got to get it working like the greatest vacuum in the world. So, all right, that's gonna take a few minutes, so I'll be right back. Okay, so after a few minutes of work, I got all 7 screws out. Look at the dirt in the little jets. So the cap is now off. We'll get that good and clean. Now we've got to pull the cyclone out. Oh my gosh, just filled with dust and dirt. So this is going to be a welcome cleaning for sure. I've had this, gosh, I don't know how long I've had this one. I'm gonna guess the better part of a year. Now you're gonna take this gasket off of here. So obviously it's, what I was saying is it's pretty dirty, you know, and it doesn't take long to get them dirty, that's for sure. And this is kind of a tedious task to, you know, go ahead and dig into this. It's a lot of moving pieces. So you want to pull that gasket off. Also more of a foam material, very delicate. Need to be super careful with that. So we've got two, we can get that nice and cleaned. And the cyclone, now it's just plastic. So now we can go ahead, dig out my screws, we'll get those cleaned up. Seems like a daunting task, but it's kind of simple once you just kind of look at it. Hopefully this is going to make a huge difference in how the vacuum performs and smells, by the way. Yeah, because it's, you know, that stale pet odor you get. And so we'll get those cleaned up, just get everything cleaned up, and then we'll come back and hopefully show you how to reassemble everything back to working order. So, and look at the piles of dust in here that I got. And that's it. That was all just trapped in there. Oh yeah, I mean, just everything. Just gets so nasty. So that's that. Enough of that dirt. We'll go ahead and get her cleaned up and be right back. Okay, so we've got everything cleaned and dry. Make sure everything's dry when you put it back together. You can see all the pieces. So nice and refreshed. We're gonna go ahead now and start assembling. Okay, now we've got everything ready to go. So we're gonna start with our cover, and you can see the covers, the screw holes, 7 holes around. There's 3 that are closer together. I'm gonna put those towards the top, just so we can kind of keep everything in the same direction, just easier to manipulate going back together. 2, same thing. See the screw holes? I'm just lining those screw holes up. Pop that into place. So we've got that, and then we've got the gasket, which the gasket has a couple of spots on it. There's here, I don't know, it's probably hard to see. I'm trying to see the angle, but right here there's a notch, which will line up with a notch on one of the tubes here. So you just want to make sure you get that in the right spot. And the gasket also has a flat side and a side that's kind of perforated or indented. Part of it's raised. That side is going to be facing up, the raised or indented part. So line up the notch with the notch on the tube, and then carefully, I repeat carefully, put those over the tubes, and then push them down into place. Whoa, no, catastrophe there. Get everything pushed down, and you just want to take your time, make sure you get them all pushed down, just so it's a nice flat seal there. I don't know if you can hear my neighbors mowing his lawn. Oh, one of them just started using a chainsaw. Got wind chimes in the background. Wind chimes are from my mother's house. She's passed, but pretty cool to hear them chime. Makes me think about her whenever I hear them, so that's kind of neat. But, okay, so we've got that pushed and secure. I like it. I like it. So that's what that looks like. Okay, so now we're going to take the cyclone, put the red push lever, release lever back in place. It slides in like so. Let's make sure that gets down in there. You can't do it after the fact, so make sure you remember to put that in there. We'll get the spring back on later. Okay. So now we're going to put the cyclone back on the tube. I keep moving that for some reason. But what you're going to want to do now to save yourself a headache is put the screws back into the holes, because you cannot get down in there. That's one of the things I was trying to decide to go any further, because I couldn't figure out how I was going to get the screws back into place once I took them out. So thankfully you can, whoa, throw them around now. Boy, they're driving me nuts. So you can put them in now and avoid that problem. Just put all 7 of them in. Sorry this is taking so long. It's hard to even do it with the big opening here. Get those installed. One more to go. And such a difference after cleaning it, getting rid of all that dust and hair and everything else. That smell is no longer present, so that's pretty awesome. Now you can just line up your screw holes, obviously 7 and 7, the 3 at the top there that are closer together. Oh good, dog's barking now too. Set that in place. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten the screws down. I'll do that and be right back. Let my dog calm down a little bit, and we'll finish up. Okay, so we've got all our screws in and tight. Pro tip, I had to take it apart and start again with my screws because I forgot to put the little red release lever through the hole in the cover. So that just fell right out, and I had to go back and reinsert it and make sure I got it through the hole in the cover. So silly mistake. So make sure you remember to do that. Second pro tip, my T10 driver is about 3 inches long, and it needs to be about 5 to 7 inches long. So get a longer driver, make it a lot easier on yourself to get those screws tight, and taken out a lot easier as well. So okay, so that's done. Now we're going to install this white plastic piece. You can see, yeah, you can see that it's got side where it's pushed through, raised up, so we're going to want to put that side facing upwards. This has a notch in it. It's, yep, there you can see the notch. So we're going to go ahead and insert that. Now I just got to find it. On the cyclone, there's also, which is hard to see from here, but there's a notch there that'll line up with the notch on the plastic piece. So get that on there, and you're going to want to push that down into place over the tubes. Get that secured, and there's no screws or anything to hold this in place. It's all what's the word? I guess friction, for lack of a better term. So get that pushed down and secure, so it's nice and snug all the way around. Okay, and what's nice is doing that, my my red lever did not fall out this time, so that's pretty cool. Okay, now you're going to want to install your gasket. The gasket also, like the white plastic piece, which is almost impossible to see, has a guide or a notch in it as well. that corresponds to the same notch in the plastic rim we just put on. So go ahead and slide that over, get that to where the notch is, and get that over the tubes. Just being careful not to tear anything. It is a real thin piece of foam, and any kind of tear will disrupt the vacuum. These are amazing machines, and you want them to work as good as they can, so don't want any leaks of any kind. Oh, I was going to mention too, when tightening the screws down, you kind of want to use, like when you're putting a wheel back on a car, and and go kind of a star, across from each other when you tighten them down, just to make sure you get a good uniform seal. Okay, we got that done. Now let's see, we can go ahead and put our screen back on. Real quick, I'll be right, we're gonna do the screen next. We'll be right back to do that. Okay, sorry for the emergency there. My apologies. Well, we're back in action now. Okay, so we're not doing the screen first. We're doing the spring for the bucket release, or the dirt bucket release, or whatever you want to call it. Now the spring has, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the spring has little tabs on it. See those tabs that stick out? I think you can see them there. And those have to line up in a certain spot. Here you can see there's a notch, and that spring has to lock into that notch in order to keep the lever in the proper position. So we'll feed that in. And the notch here has to stay behind the lever. So the upper notch has to stay behind the lever. And then we're going to get this twisted and into, oh man, I almost had it without tools. We're going to get that twisted so that it locks into the, boy, that's close. I almost had it again. Impressive. So you want to pull it in. Almost need a second screwdriver. I've got to get that in so it pushes in. And locks. And the trick is to twist it so it gets in that groove, which is definitely not easy to do. I'm gonna need a second screwdriver, a flathead, so I have to grab that and we'll finish up. Okay, so after a short wrestling match with the spring, we've got it in place. Now in order to secure it, you have to put the plastic tube in place. Oh, I'm mucking with that. Now I've got my gasket up a little bit. So we'll get that secured. And now that tube snaps in back in place, and then you can release the spring. And now you still, so you have that tension there. So now that this tube is back in place, that's what holds the spring. So now you can snap everything back in place, nice and secure. Boom. Just like that. Starting to look like a Dyson again. Alright, so now we've got our lever working how it should. Perfect. And let's see, well, you know what, we can put the button back on. Now the button has got a spring on it. There's a little notch in here for the spring. and the longer flat edge goes towards the bottom. And hopefully this will snap in fairly easily. You can use a screwdriver, hopefully. Let's see. Get that pried back in place. Gotta make sure. Jeez. Orientation is tough doing like this, but okay, there we go. Push that back into place. Okay, she snapped back in. That's our official dust bucket release lever. Is now done. Put the screen on, which was filthy, and you know, that's one of those things where you have these Dysons and you're looking at them and they often get dust and dirt behind there. And you know, I take mine and I, you know, kind of bang it and try to get but you can never get that dust and dirt out of there once it's in there. So it was nice to finally figure out that these are more or less serviceable a time or two. You know, I was at the point where I was so mad that I was gonna get another sweeper. I mean, it was that dirty, that filthy, just disgusting. And now, you know, being able to take it apart and clean everything is just awesome. So the notch lines up with the notch here where the dirt release bucket is, and you're just going to want to get that set and pull it back into place so it snaps in all the way around. Nice tight seal. Awesome. Okay, so that's back on, and oh my gosh, what a sight. I mean, looking at it beforehand and then looking at it now is just like amazing. That works, button works, everything looks good, screws are all tight, got nice tight seals all the way around. Perfect. All right, we can get the cover back on. Let's see, orientation wise goes here, and you just put it on the same way, just kind of spread it apart, get the hole in there, get the rod underneath there, snaps in, perfect. Press the button, button release is working perfectly. Flip up, nice shiny filter goes in there that we've cleaned. It's actually drying in the sun over there. I need to rotate it. Once that's in, once that's dry, we're back in business. So the Cyclone, man, it looks brand new. That's awesome. After being, you know, so disappointed at how filthy it was behind that screen, not knowing what to do. It's nice to know we can take them apart, we can clean them rather than just junk them. So now we just have to get the gaskets back on the lower part, which that's all nice and dry. We get the gaskets pushed down in and we're done. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, I got to the point where I was so frustrated at, you know, having that over every time you use it, that it was to the point where we were going to get a new sweeper. But did a little research, figured out they are serviceable, and so that's nice. It's awesome. Okay, so we've got the middle or round small gasket installed and secure. Now, just want to make sure you push down around those edges here. Just kind of pull it down tight so it's nice and secure. Push down in so it makes a good seal. That's that one. And then we got to install the bigger gasket to finish things off. Easiest way to do it is to start in the, this is going to be a difficult angle, but start in the back where the hinge is. Get that fed in there first, down in there under the lip, and you'll see there's like little indentations there There's notches that slide and lock in to the plastic. You'll see what I mean when it's so hard to see here, but there's a couple little notches there. So that's got to slide underneath there and into those notches. They're like little, almost look like arrows or bubbles, but just feed that around and under the lip. And then you've got your tabs here. Just keep it under that lip. Same way around the front. Let's see. And then on the front side, there's another lip there. So it's really helps you, once you get it under those tabs, it kind of pulls itself in. And then right here, there's a hole and then this little flap that has to be obviously down in that hole here. So we get that pushed down in there. This one is underneath the flap around the front. And then you just gotta finagle it around this tab down in underneath that lockdown tab there. Okay. So everything now looks good. Push it underneath the lip so it's nice. Creates a real nice seal. Okay, that's under, it's all pushed in. We got our tab down in. We got this piece locked in place. Perfect. Nice tight seal. Everything's snug when we push it down. Push to open. No issues there. Locks in place, making a nice tight seal again. And then we can go ahead and install that back on the dirt bucket. Oh no! Catastrophe has struck the video system. Our $3 tripod has bit the dust. All right, after a minor technical difficulty, we're back in action. So we've got to line that up, get this bottom secure, and snap her into place. Just like that. We are race ready, baby, with a brand new Dyson sweeper. Now that's exciting. Something you probably thought you never could do. Probably thought you had to replace it or get a serviceman to do it. I don't even know if there's guys around there that do stuff like that anymore. But that's a pretty awesome deal. Be able to have such a mess that we started with to basically having a brand new sweeper. So hopefully you enjoyed that, learned something, and you know, it's something you can do yourself. So appreciate you watching, and we'll chat soon.